going live. Okay, welcome to the Splendid Life Show. I'm your host, Ming. I'm the creator of the 7-step mental and emotional first aid method and also a transformational life coach. My specialty is to help people kind of raise their money set point. So if you've been watching this show regularly, I like to acknowledge your support and encouragement. And for those of you who are new to the show, I'd like to thank you for your presence today. So I'd like to begin by telling you that the theme today is the power of acknowledgement. And I'd like to begin by first asking you, what is the one thing that you have done today that you would like to be acknowledged for? So I'll give you a moment to think about that. And okay, do you have your answer? Okay. So for all the unrecognized acts of kindness and generosity and love that you have done today and haven't been acknowledged for, let me be the first to acknowledge you. So here, I'm gonna move it in front of the camera. Say thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. All right. So, and right now, I'd like to introduce you to our guest, Tom Tompkins, also known as Tommy Transit, and he is a bus driver on a mission. Hi, Tommy.
Hello.
Yes.
How are you doing, Ming? Nice to see you.
Yeah. So, I'd like to give people a little context of how we met. So let me show people. All right. So, what does it say here? It says, "Have you seen Ming?" So he was looking for me. So tell us how we met.
Well, it was quite wonderful, actually. Ming and I attended an event by a company called Mind Valley in Puerto Vallarta. And it was an amazing festival. As a matter of fact, it was called the Awesomeness Fest. And as part of that process of meeting the more than 300 people that attended, we put our names on a piece of paper and one word that described us. And then in a 5-minute space of time, we went and met as many people as we could. And each time we introduced ourselves and learned who the other person was, we exchanged the piece of paper. So the paper with Ming's name on it went to the first person that she met, and then that person introduced themselves and passed it on again. So that paper could have gone through 15, maybe even 20 hands. So you're completely lost as far as an entity on the paper goes. So what happened was they said, now go and meet your A-Fest buddy, Awesomeness Fest buddy. So what they said was, do it in the most unique way you can and do whatever it takes to find somebody. So as soon as they finished that introduction, just before the Vishen, who is the head of Mind Valley, came to the stage, I leapt up on a chair, and it's, okay, first of all, I have to tell you that my word was off the wall. And then I leapt up on a chair, and I said, Ming, stand up! And this woman stood up, and I was like, yes, I'm done. And the fellow ahead of me that I just met said, Tommy, that was pretty off the wall. Now, the humorous thing is that the woman who stood up wasn't Ming. And I went over to meet her, and she said, I just stood up because I wanted to see who was standing on the chair.
I know I heard my name, but so I saw somebody stand up. I was like, oh, maybe it wasn't me.
So what was really interesting is that there's 300 people in the room, and I've got to meet Ming within the next 3 days. So you give it up to the universe. And this is the part of beautiful manifesting that I talk about in the book. I just gave it up and thought, okay, she's going to show up. The next exercise we did was to hug 6 or 8 or 10 people. The 4th person that I hugged was Ming. I love how the universe works, Ming. It was so nice to meet you that way.
All right, cool. So I'd like to ask you about your mission.
All right. My mission is to inspire other people to move from that depressed, sad state where they have a bumper sticker on their car that says, I'm not in a hurry. I'm on my way to work. So my
Mm-hmm.
job is to inspire people to realize the gift that they have and the gift that they are, and to take that with them everywhere they go, including work and home, and enhance their lives so that they're able to give those gifts away to other people.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So I like to ask you because you are in a very interesting place where you get to meet all kinds of people all the time. So this is a great opportunity, a fascinating, I guess, opportunity to study people and how they behave. So what are the commonalities you observed in just human behavior?
Oh, that could fill a book, Ming. I mean, the variety of people that I picked up were just incredibly
Okay.
diverse, to say the least.
Uh-huh.
What I noticed is that a lot of people don't connect on the bus, and in some cases I've traveled to many different cities, and in some cases I talked to people on the bus, and they
Mm.
said, oh yeah, some said, oh yeah, this is the loser cruiser. Now, that was a really kind of a sad outlook on it, and a lot of people are just in that state where they're depressed or they're sad or they're on their way to work or it's just another day at the office, and
Mm-hmm.
there's no kind of individuality in that. But that was a very common thing. So I saw
Yeah.
that kind of gloomy nature to people, and I really wanted to just inject a little fun or a little smile into their
Mm-hmm.
lives, and that's kind of when I realized that I had an opportunity to really make a difference.
Mm. So
But
how did
yes,
you start?
well, interesting. I'm pretty sure it started at 9/11, and we're all pretty familiar with that horrendous
Wow.
event. And at the
Mm-hmm.
time, I was a member of the Kindness Foundation in Vancouver, and we
Mm.
were meeting and trying to figure out what could we do to make a bigger difference in the world. And there's a
Mm-hmm.
lot of good things that come out of 9/11. That sounds strange to say, but it goes
Mm.
back to my mother saying that behind every dark cloud, there's a silver lining. And
Yeah.
sometimes you have to dig a little deeper to find it. So we
Mm-hmm.
realized that we have to dig a little deeper and go into our hearts to
Mm-hmm.
make a contribution. And there's lots of diversity in the meeting. The meeting we had on a monthly basis was Porridge for the Soul, and the
Mm.
speakers came out of the group that was the members,
Mm-hmm.
and it was all about spreading kindness in the world
Mm-hmm.
and seeing how that enhanced your life at home and at work and everywhere you go.
Mm-hmm.
So in the process of doing that, I realized that teachers had schools and students and their faculty. Um, Doctors had their patients. Some people worked in a factory. Some people worked in a small office. And I
Uh-huh.
thought, oh my God, I took a calculator to work, and I realized I was picking up 3 to 5 thousand people a week. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
15,000 people a month. Now, I was driving a
Mm-hmm.
60-foot, the articulated bus, the
Uh-huh.
big bendy buses,
Yeah.
and it was 110 people for a full standing load. And when I
Wow.
realized that in a 10-month course of the year, with 2 months off for holidays and sick time, I
Uh-huh.
realized I was picking up 170 to 180,000 people a year would come by me.
Wow.
And I thought, my God, that's more people than the Pope, the President, and the Queen all wrapped into one.
Yeah.
So I really had to get conscious about making a difference in people's lives because I had that burning desire in my stomach.
Mm-hmm.
And I realized, goodness gracious, look at all these people that I'm meeting. So I just started being nice to them. And I took that a step further. I was doing thoughts for the day on the bus. You know, do the bus drivers down in your city have a speaker and they're able to communicate with you through the bus
Yeah.
system?
Yeah. Yeah. So what's
So,
the thoughts of the day?
well, it's funny. I had 13 stops in one direction, and I'd have 26 different thoughts so that the people wouldn't get the same ones going back. And it would be like, hi, this is your bus driver with a little thought for the day. I hope it helps you on your way. Keep in
Oh.
mind that there's a lot more people in the world looking for the right person than there are trying to be the right person. Broadway and
Mm.
Granville, southbound for White Rock Airport and the ferry, northbound for downtown. Thanks a lot for traveling with transit. Have an awesome day. You deserve no less.
I love
And
that.
I, yeah. Well,
Oh.
after a while, it was interesting. There's such a diversification of people in Vancouver that a lot of them don't clearly understand English, and they thought that I was making an announcement that they had to change buses or that the bus was breaking down. So
Oh.
I had to alter my thinking. There was a couple of weeks I was really sad because I saw my contribution through a thought for the day going out to everybody in the bus kind of fading. So I took it to be
Mm.
individual. And that's when
Mm.
it came to be where I would just notice something about someone that was a
Mm.
little different, their hairstyle, or they had a
Mm.
really nice coat on, or a scarf, or a hat, or a pair of shoes.
Mhm.
I always read T-shirts. Mine says "Bus Driver on a Mission" with my
Mhm.
website.
Mhm.
But
Yeah.
lots of time people have nice T-shirts, and if somebody got in, for example, with a marathon shirt, I would
Uh-huh.
say, "Excuse me, did you earn that shirt?" What I meant was, did you
Mm.
get it at the thrift store, or did
Right.
you actually run the
Right.
marathon? And in most
Right.
cases, people would say, yes, I certainly did. And I would shake their hand and tell them that I was so impressed that they had done the training, taken the discipline to get up every morning and run and train to run a marathon.
Mm.
Because I tell you, I've never done that. I drove that far a few times, but I've never had what it took to run a race. That was pretty incredible. So that's another nice personalized way of acknowledging somebody, is just noticing their shirt, or
Yeah.
just saying it's a nice shirt, or you're raising the dress code. And a lot of people really like that. It changed a lot of lives.
Yeah. So I'm hearing that instead of just issuing like a blanket message to everyone, just connecting one on one, right? And I love that as a life coach. I love connecting one on one with my clients. It's just so fun. Yeah.
It is fun, and the more you do it, for me now, it's like breathing, and it's so simple. And the trick is teaming is that, for example, as a male bus driver,
Uh-huh.
picking up female passengers, I had to be very careful that they didn't think I was flirting with them.
Mm, there
So
you
there's
go. I see.
a whole
Mhm.
chapter in the book that I wrote, Bus Tales: How to Change the World from 9 to 5, is the
Mm.
name
Oh,
of the
oh,
book.
show it. Show your
Oh,
book.
there we go. Can you see it? Okay,
No, not yet. You have to. Okay, Tommy
a little closer.
Transit's bus tail. There we go. I see it. I see it. All right. That's a cool cover. All right. How to Change the World from 95. Tom Tompkins and Michelle Hall. Michelle with one L. Okay.
Michelle with one L, exactly. We have a new the new version is the Christmas version, which is
Ooh.
actually it's on Amazon right now, and
Mm-hmm.
it's got 3 extra stories in it.
Mm.
So it's basically the same book but 3 extra stories.
Yeah,
So
tell me.
yeah, thank you for that.
You're welcome. So
Was there
what are,
something I wanted to
what's
say?
you want to go back to the book and kind of tell us
Yeah,
what's it about?
not so
Food
much the
for
book,
thought.
but one of the chapters in it
Uh-huh.
is the difference between flirting and acknowledging.
Right.
A
Right.
very fine line. I mean,
Yeah.
I wanted to
That-
make a contribution, but if I said, "Wow, you've got beautiful hair," I didn't want the woman to think that the next thing out of my lips was asking them out on a date. That's
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
what we were doing.
Right.
So
Right.
what happened was that I would have seconds, just seconds, with each person,
Mm-hmm.
and what I called it actually was verbal candy, if you will,
Mm-hmm.
as a bit of an acronym.
Right.
And I saw that my verbal candy for them, by saying, beautiful hair, or I like your shirt, or nice shoes, or great boots, or I like your scarf. Or with men, it was like, wow, you're raising the dress code. You look pretty fancy today. Are you off to a job interview? I'll hold the intention that you get that job.
Mm. Oh, Tom, I'm losing your audio stream. Not sure what happened. Tommy. Hmm. Tommy, can you hear me? Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Can you hear me? I can't hear you. I can't hear you. Oh, I can't hear you. So, I'm not sure what happened. So I'm going to wow, this is like live show. So, hey, you gotta see us problem solving action. Mm, okay, so let's see. Let's open up the chat box, and that way we can communicate. So the chat box is on your left-hand side. That's a thing that's called chat. It's so you open that and type something in the chat box. That way we can communicate because I can't hear you. Okay, I just lost Tommy there. Um, for a while, for a little bit. Okay, say something. Say something. I'm losing it all your stream. Okay. I think he's gonna try to get in again. So, not sure what happened there. Hmm, let's see. Tom, if you can hear me, maybe you can check the connections on your computer. That that might do the trick. Or oh, just lost Tommy completely. Oh, oh, I hear you. I hear
So,
something. You're back on. All right. Oh, I
uh,
was like, oh, I'm
I don't know
gonna.
what I don't know what happened there. Sorry.
All right, I don't know. Well, but we solved it. So, all right, that's great.
I'm glad. Sorry. Okay, so
Yeah.
back to acknowledgement. I saw what I was doing with my verbal candy. Can you hear me okay?
Now I can hear you. So okay. What I want
Excellent.
you to do is to open up the chat box so you can see it on your right hand side. And then if I have a problem, I'm gonna type something there, and you'll see it. If
Okay.
somehow I am muted, you can't hear me, or type
Yeah.
something there.
No,
Okay.
I can hear you. I can hear you clearly now. If you can't hear me, just go like this, thumbs down.
Okay. Thumbs down if I
Right
can't
now
hear you.
it's thumbs up.
Yeah. Okay. Two
Okay,
thumbs
so
up. All right.
two
What
thumbs
was
up.
like easy with you? Okay.
So yeah, what I did with my what I call verbal candy, I saw as being food
Yeah.
for the passengers' souls,
Mm.
and I saw in their eyes and their body language how long they had hungered for just that. It was absolutely incredible.
So the sense of someone seeing them, is that it?
Exactly. And it's, for example, let's say a homeless person, and I knew they were homeless because I lived in Vancouver a long time and I've seen them living on the street, and they would come in the
Mm-hmm.
bus, and I would notice in some cases they had an amazing sparkle in their eye. So
Mm-hmm.
I would say, wow, what a great sparkle you have in your eye, or what a great smile you have, or something. And they
Mm-hmm.
would just light up because in many cases, a lot of people don't see them. So interesting because a lot of the people think that there's only hate and love in the world, and
Mm-hmm.
I think there's something actually a little worse than hate, and that's what I call indifference. So, for example, if somebody's on the
Indifference.
street and hundreds of people walk by them and they pretend that they don't see them, which is not true unless you're actually blind, you can see
Yeah.
them.
Right.
So it's really nice to just even say, hi, I don't have any money, I hope you have a good day, or something, and they just want to be acknowledged. Yes, they're there to try and earn enough money to have a bowl of soup or get the next hit or whatever happens going on in their life, but they're
Mm-hmm.
trying to look after themselves. And if you can just see them just for a
Mm-hmm.
second, I mean, if you have more time and you get a chance to talk to them, sometimes it's amazing what lives they've had that took them to that place on the sidewalk. And
Mm-hmm.
sometimes they just want to be heard. And that's
Yeah.
the in that environment of not being heard and not being seen or appreciated or respected, that's where disease flourishes.
Oh. You know, this reminds me of a quote I saw on Facebook actually. It's like healing begins with somebody listening. So I mean, just by
Exactly.
listening, you can start the healing process for someone. I think that is just
Absolutely.
incredible, right? It's a simple act. Everyone can do that.
As a
Yeah.
motivational speaker, that's a really good lesson for me to keep learning.
Yeah.
I'm so used
But
to speaking, but the gift is really in the listening, really
yeah.
is, and that's the job of counselors and psychiatrists all across the country is to really hear what their clients and their patients are saying to them, and it may be some of the only time that they've actually been heard, and there is
Hmm.
much
Hmm.
healing in that. That's a great saying that you saw on Facebook.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, as a life coach, I'm always listening. I'm listening beyond words sometimes, like what really are they saying?
It's
You
funny
know.
that you say that because I kind of felt like a rolling coach at times. Some people, it's interesting. I think you've probably heard that taxi drivers are part-time psychiatrists because the customer in the taxi unloads everything that's going on in their life, and they feel quite comfortable doing that because the possibility of seeing that taxi driver again is pretty remote, so they feel safe. And it's the same kind
Mm.
of thing as a bus driver. Sometimes within 5 or 6 bus stops, I would learn the whole person's life history. It was
Mhm.
incredible. And I had an
Mhm.
opportunity to suggest something or tell them that I've been in the same place, and they like to hear about alignment, and then tell them what I did,
Mhm.
and in the hopes that maybe they can try it and it would improve their lives as well. So it was really an amazing, unique position to be in. It's really where the rubber meets the road, and
Mhm.
it's an
Mhm.
opportunity for me that it just came about, and I just became more conscious about it, and it's been incredible, absolutely incredible. Wrote the
Mhm.
book. Now
Yeah.
as a motivational speaker, I travel around. You know,
Yeah.
last year I spoke in India, in Bali, University of Hawaii, Northern California, and now with you and
Wow.
your people. It's
Yeah.
just very exciting to get that message out.
Yeah. 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 Definitely. I really appreciate having the opportunity to talk to you today and to help you spread your message. Um, can you talk a little bit about how did you create a sense of community? Because I get that you are creating community through your interaction with others.
Thank you. Yeah, it's interesting. There is a community within the bus, but you can't kind of get away from the individuality of each passenger that jumps in, because
Mm.
each passenger that comes in, even though there's 20 or 30 or 100 people in the bus,
Mhm.
I don't think they see themselves as a community, and they don't feel that connectedness. So in reference
Mm.
to creating a little bit of community, I found that
Mm.
by acknowledging people and doing something or joking with them that would make them laugh, let's say, for example, if someone's running for the bus and they're huffing and puffing, and sometimes they were having a smoke, which was, I thought it was really strange, and they run up to the bus and they jump in and they're all out of breath. Oh, thanks a lot for waiting for me, or whatever they said. And I
Uh-huh.
say, if you did that more often, it wouldn't hurt as much. Now, it sounds a little snarky, but immediately after that, I'd say, that's what I tell myself when I'm running for a bus. So it puts me in the same boat as them, or on the
Yeah.
same
Yeah.
bus, if you will.
Hmm.
So that was kind of something just a little bit humorous, a little bit, and make them feel a little bit better. And they were happy that I actually waited for them. So in the
Mm.
process of acknowledging all the different people as they came in,
Uh-huh.
which I did consciously and religiously and purposefully over the
Hmm.
course of 1.9 million years, probably acknowledged 1.8 million people, which is
Oh, hold
pretty.
on, come again. You said 1.9 million years. No, I think you
Oh,
meant
sorry.
okay. So how
No,
many
did I
years?
say years?
Yeah, I know. Sometimes
Yes,
we get.
I'm on my fifth time around.
Sorry.
No, what I meant was over the course of 10 years, with my
Mm.
acknowledgement, with the number of, I picked up 170 to 180, 90,000 people a year over the course of 10 years. I probably touched 1.9 million people's lives with an individual comment about each one. Now,
Hmm. Hmm.
oftentimes they were if a woman gets in and she had beautiful hair or a beautiful color of her hair, then I would say that probably 50,000 times over the years. But I tried to see something individual, and that's what I wanted to share with you too, Timing, is the steps of the art of acknowledgement. And that is.
All right, I'm ready. I'm ready. Okay,
you ready?
So let's go.
Yeah, everybody get your notepads out. This is really, really simple.
Okay,
a few
I
steps.
have my notes.
So the first step is to be aware of other people, because they ache. They ache to be seen. So when you see them, when you observe them, when you're close enough, notice something unique and special about each one. It might be their hair, it might be their scarf, it might be a color they're wearing, it might be their smile, sparkle in their eyes, maybe a nose stud. If people wear a nose stud, I would tap my nose and give them the thumbs up. And oftentimes, if they were young with piercings, it's not the same reaction that they got when they had the piercing and went home to lunch and showed their mom and dad.
Yeah.
So it was, you know what I mean? So see something individual about people, and then consciously and respectfully and courteously, in a friendly, kind manner, tell them what it was that you noticed. I noticed that your scarf matches your hair, or you have beautiful shoes, or what a great smile you have. Something like that. It's so simple. And sometimes if you didn't get a chance to actually say something, just smiling at them lets them know that you see them.
Yeah.
So you do that in a conscious and a courteous way. Then the next thing to do, and the most important, is that you smile inwardly and acknowledge yourself for sending another ripple of kindness out into the world. And I tell you, you know what? I want to mention something else, and it's about endorphins. Do you know about endorphins?
Yeah.
You've probably talked about it in other shows that you've produced on your amazing show. Endorphins are, if you do something kind for someone, then endorphins are released in your body, and everybody knows that is it's the good feeling. You feel really good in yourself, right?
Yeah.
If you're holding the door open for somebody who's struggling with groceries and you smile at them, you feel good about offering a kindness to someone. So endorphins are released in your body as you do that. Endorphins are also released in the body of the person who you are being kind towards. Does that make sense?
Yeah, because we have mirror neurons. Like when you
Absolutely.
see somebody happy, you feel happy too. At least I do.
Yes. And that spreads that. It's that being in that bubble of energy. So what really, really blew me away, though, was that an institute in California did some extensive research about endorphins, and they found out that, yes, when you commit a kind act, endorphins are released in you, and the person that you're committing a kind act towards, endorphins are released in them. But what really blew me away is that even, Ming, if you're walking down the street and you witness a kind act being done by someone else to someone else, and you just watch that or observe that, endorphins are released in you, the viewer.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
That's like three-way endorphin explosion.
Yeah, I can see that. It's like, okay,
it's
somebody,
amazing.
and
Absolutely
it's a whole
amazing. So
bubble or
totally.
ripple effect, right?
It's a ripple, absolutely, sending another ripple out into the world. Exactly. So that's pretty exciting, and just if you just take those simple steps of acknowledgement and try them out, it's amazing. That's what I wanted to jump on the stage at Awesomeness Fest and spend 3 minutes to change people's lives. And what I wanted to do is tell them what I had done and observed the results from that. And then these are the steps, and try and apply them to your life. And there was a woman. Do you remember Brandy from
Brandy Keeler?
Chicago?
Yeah.
Yes, Brandy Keeler.
I spoke to her. Yeah.
She wrote me a wonderful email about how she took my steps of the art of acknowledgement, and she used them on the plane and to the taxi driver. She complimented the taxi driver that drove her to the airport in Puerto Vallarta. She complimented him about a beautiful flower he had hanging from his mirror. When he
Oh.
got to the airport, they chatted and laughed all the way
Mhm.
because she'd acknowledged him about that. And then he gave her the flower. She said it was
Oh.
such a nice, sweet
That's
gift. And he'd
sweet.
grown the flower and dried it. And he does
Mhm.
that for his family and friends. And it was easy enough for him to get another flower.
Oh.
But she felt so touched by
Yeah.
getting that gift from him. So
Uh-huh.
that's where you get the cycle going.
Mhm.
That's where that ripple goes up to
Mhm.
the shore and then comes back out and washes over you. It's really quite sweet.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm
So,
preaching to the choir with you. I know that.
yeah. Well, we need more of that. So.
Yes, we do, and it's so simple to do. And as I travel around the countryside and talk to different drivers, it's not about creating a bunch of Tommy Transits. It's
Mhm.
about showing and getting these people to inspire them to see their own gift and see the position that they're in, that the opportunity they have to touch so many lives. I mean, collectively, we're touching millions of lives as bus drivers all across the nation, and it's
Yeah.
just such a simple thing. So if they can realize how powerful that is, the position that they're in, and the
Mhm.
influence that they can have, and spread some positivity out in the world. And I've never heard anybody arguing about wanting to have more positivity or joy or happiness in their life. And we're in a wonderful position to deliver exactly that, besides just
Yeah.
getting somebody from where they want to go.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah. So. Mm,
In the process,
okay.
you know what? In the process of doing that, teaming,
Uh-huh.
I I was so energized because even though I'm not attached to the outcome, it often came back really quickly, like, oh gosh, you got beautiful hair today, or that hair really matches, really suits you.
Uh-huh.
And many times they go, oh, thank you, I just came from the hairdresser. I said, well, your money was well
Mhm.
spent. And I know it's not cheap to get your hair done.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
So sometimes it would come back really quickly, and I'd see the reaction that I had with people. But oftentimes, I'm not attached to the outcome, and I have no idea how my words have touched them. But I know I have the intention in my heart that
Right.
what I say
Mhm.
is something that will help raise their consciousness or be for their greater good.
Mhm.
And it's really interesting because, just touching back on acknowledgement and flirting for a second, I had, out of 1.9 million people, I had two women complained, and they complained to me because they were sensitive and thought that I was actually flirting with them.
Mhm.
And I got them to sit close to me and watch what I was doing with people as they came in the bus,
Mhm.
and it transformed their lives. And at the same time, it was a really good message for me to make
Mhm.
certain that I wasn't flirting with them, and that I was
Yeah.
giving them,
Well, I'm
delivering
so
it.
glad you actually.
It
Yeah.
was a, it was a,
Um.
it was, but that's a pretty good average. I knew I was onto something accurate when I had that kind of small feedback.
No, I'm glad you actually took the time to sit them down near you so that they can watch you and see that it's what you do for other people and not like what you do to them or whatever it is, it's through their filter.
Mm.
So yeah, I'm just glad that you kind of cleared that up.
Yeah, absolutely. And it was very important to do that because part of that comes back to a survey that was done many years ago in reference to politics. And if a person writes and complains to their politician, they actually represent 300 to 500 other people who feel exactly the same way, but they didn't take the time to write the letter or make the phone call to their member of parliament. So in
Mm.
that sense, if one woman complained to me, she could possibly represent several hundred women who felt the same way, that I might be flirting with them, and didn't say anything to me. So it was really
Mm.
important for me. The first thing I did, in one case, I actually explained that to the woman, and I thanked her. And the first thing I did was acknowledge her for having the jam to come at the strength to come and speak to me and say, hey, I thought you were flirting with me, and I'm not. It's not sitting well with me. And
Mm.
the first thing I do is be very quick to apologize. And I was
Mhm.
very sincere about my apology, and I said that was not my intention. My intention is to just give you a gift of gratitude for you being a passenger and helping pay my wage, put food in my
Mhm.
fridge, and
Mhm.
I just appreciate you being here. And after that, when I saw them, it was just a smile or say hello, and one of them actually became quite a good friend after that.
Mhm.
So it
Mhm.
was very important to clear that up, though. Very
Yeah.
important to address that right away. But it gave me another opportunity to acknowledge them for having the strength that it took. Sometimes we don't want to disagree with people. It's really uncomfortable and it takes a lot of energy.
Mm.
So, but if something's really bothering you, then you have to say something. But it takes some guts to do that, and I wanted to acknowledge them for that.
Yeah. Yeah. Hmm. I like the step that you talked about where you have this inward smile, and I thought, oh, many people don't actually think about um, smiling from the inside. So that is so cool.
Well, do you know what that touches on, Teaming? There's so many things that as we're talking, it opens up doors to other avenues.
Uh-huh.
And for example, in reference to the inwardly smiling and acknowledging yourself for sending a ripple of kindness out into the world, when you commit any act of kindness, uh, I think that addresses your little voice in your mind. I think everybody has a little voice in your mind. Like for example, with some of your listeners, and they're saying, "What little voice?" Well, the little voice that says, "Who is this bus driver, and what does he think he is?" And he's telling us all this stuff here. Who the hell is he to say that? That's the little voice,
Oh, the
or the
critic.
little, yeah, the critic, exactly. So, or that little voice that's going, wow, he met a lot of people. Maybe he's got something important to say. Or, hey, guess what? I could take those steps of the art of acknowledgement and I can make a big difference with my family or my workmates or even on the way to work. Oftentimes people stop for a coffee. Do you often thank your barista?
Hmm.
Hey, you've been giving me coffee for weeks and months, and I love the way you make it, and you warm me up, and I just really want to acknowledge you for that. Thank you for just putting a bright spot and warm spot in my day. Something like that.
Yeah, yeah. And I don't know if you notice, like for Asians, do you have Asians in where you um
The Asian
Asian
population,
population? Yeah, they don't really tend to look you in the eye, do they?
it's interesting. When you address them and they realize that you're talking to them, then they will look at you for sure. I hadn't
Hmm.
really thought of that too much. The Asian population in the city of Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada, which is where I spent 21 years driving the bus,
Hmm.
is now cresting 47%. So we have a lot of diversity in Vancouver,
Yeah.
and it's interesting because sometimes when I acknowledge people from a different culture, not
Uh-huh.
necessarily Asians, but
Hmm.
any different culture, they wouldn't catch what my words were because their grasp
Mm.
of the English language wasn't as sharp. And
Right.
if I saw any kind of confusion with them, then I would call them back and say, I was just telling you to have a wonderful day and slow my words
Mm-hmm.
down. And then they would get it and they'd
Hmm.
appreciate it. And
Hmm.
sometimes that would open up a conversation like, where are you from? Oh, I'm from Croatia, or I'm from India, or
Hmm.
someplace. And I would
Hmm.
get a chance to ask them how long they'd been in Canada and if they liked it and are the people being good to you, and it would open up a
Hmm.
conversation and get them a chance to, and that gave me a chance to listen. Remember we talked a little earlier about how important it was to be heard and listen?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it gave me, just by asking them some little questions and giving them a little intro, I could ask them about themselves, and then it gave them a chance to talk about themselves. And people love to talk about themselves.
Okay, me too.
I don't think there's too much argument out there about that. But they love to be listened to as well because everyone has something important to say. And
Yeah.
and the listener should realize that right at the beginning and then just really give them a good audience. And sometimes that means eye contact,
Hmm.
which you're
Hmm.
right. I find if you address somebody and they notice and they realize that you're actually conversing to them and not just spouting something out, then they do look at you. Absolutely.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
sometimes that would give me an
Yeah.
opportunity to notice something else about them, like their smile or their eyes or something.
Yeah.
But yeah,
So,
sometimes language. It's interesting that you bring that up because I've noticed that I travel a lot now, and in traveling, I've found that there's almost a way of using body language to converse with people and have fun with them, which is actually acknowledging them
mhm.
without using any words. And
Oh,
the
okay.
quickest,
So,
simplest example would be I traveled in Mexico a little bit after the convention that I met you at, the Awesomeness
yeah.
Fest, and we
Uh-huh.
went from Puerto Vallarta to San Miguel and Nahihi and Lake Chapala and a few other
Uh-huh.
places, and a place called Querétaro. So in places, oftentimes, if families walking and the children are walking ahead of the parents, and
Uh-huh.
sometimes they're in their own little world and they're dancing. So I'll just start dancing as they walk towards them. And the kids get it right away, and the parents think it's wonderful. Sometimes I'll even give them a high five, and that it just
Mhm.
brings some joy in their life. Instead of, let's say, for example, the parents saying, "Don't be silly, walk properly." The kid's being a kid, and he's so full of life. And so I just do
Yeah.
the same thing, and the parents always never took it the wrong way. And I would often uh, get close to the parents and say, "What a beautiful child! You must be very proud." And tap them on the
Mm.
shoulders or shake their hand or just wave at them and give them a good smile. And I
Mhm.
don't look around and check and see what kind of reaction I'm getting, but I'm sensing that
Right.
they're walking
Right.
a little taller and they're
Mhm.
very proud of their kid for just
Yeah.
getting out there and expressing himself.
Yeah.
So that's a
Yeah.
way of using the art of acknowledgement uh, through your body and without actually
Mhm.
worrying about not having a common language.
So it's like common action, I guess. You're
Yeah.
mirroring them, right?
Well, I
So,
noticed that, the thumbs up. Um, I don't know of a culture where that means something bad.
okay.
Although maybe there is, I'm not sure.
I don't
Help me out.
know.
Maybe your listeners can write me at tommytransit.com and then help me
Uh,
out. But mostly, I've done thumbs up in many cases. And let's say, for example, a guy's driving a really nice old car that he may have refurbished himself. He's very
mm,
proud of that car. He's spent hours on it. And I'll toot my horn, whether I'm in my car or the bus, and I give him the
uh-huh.
thumbs up, or I go, "Wow, beautiful," and he gets it right away. We could be
Uh-huh.
30 feet away, 50 feet away. He can't
Mhm.
see, he can't hear anything I'm saying,
Mhm.
but they understand that completely. And it's a way of me acknowledging him for driving a beautiful car and putting all that effort into
Mhm.
creating it.
Mhm. Mhm. I
There's so
noticed
many
that.
ways to have fun out there.
Yeah. Yeah. I just noticed you did this just now, like hands together, to
Yeah,
like
that's like namaste,
acknowledgement.
right?
Namaste. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Namaste.
you know what that means.
Yeah. I do. I love namaste.
Yeah, it's like the beauty and the light in me, which is again
Sweet.
telling that inner voice you have value,
Yeah.
notices the inner light and the beauty and the gift that you are.
Yeah. 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 I do love that. Hmm. Yeah. So are
If
you
do you
looking
have
at
do you have time
um
for a story?
sure, I always have time for stories. I love
Okay,
stories.
okay. It's interesting because even though I said don't be attached to the outcome, and
Uh-huh.
I'll try and say this in a way that it's understood. There's several parts to it.
Okay.
I was doing
Uh-huh.
the thought for the day on the bus, and the thought for the day was it's easy enough to get the piano stool moved when it's actually the piano that needs the lifting. So the thought behind that is that people are easy. They'll jump in and help out when something's easy, but when something's a little more difficult, they're hesitant. So I did that thought for the
Mm.
day on the bus, and this young East Indian woman came up and chatted with me, and she said, "I've been thinking about that thought," because she was a regular customer,
Mhm.
and so she gave me some ideas about it.
Mhm.
And I said to her, "You sound like you speak from experience." She said, "What do you mean?" I said, "Well, you know something about pianos." And she said, "Yeah, beside they're heavy, I play one." And she was taking lessons, and she was taking singing lessons. So I gave
Uh-huh.
her my business card. It's a little card that says, "Tommy, I met Tommy Transit at um, on the bus or whatever." And I said, "Look, here's my email address. There's no phone number on there.
Mhm.
Call me, email me, and let me know when your next concert is, because I'd love to come and support you. I'm the one out in the dark in the audience when you're upstage on the lights, and I just want to acknowledge you for all the discipline that you've taken for all the years. She was in her mid-20s. I said, I'm assuming that you're taking singing lessons and practicing piano for the joy of the contribution that you're able to make on stage. And she said, yes, I am. I said, so let me know so I can come and support you, because I'm out there in the dark with my hands together and tears of joy in my eye for the music that you create in my body. So away she went, and I got a phone call about 2 weeks later from a friend of mine who is a voice coach. And it turns out that she said to me, did you meet a woman on the bus? And I said, yeah, I told her exactly where I dropped her off. And I said, why? And she said, well, she's a student of mine, and she's been with me for a few months, and she's very, very disenchanted with her progress. And so she quit. And she quit on the day she met you. And she said that when she was sitting on the bus, she was waiting for an angel to tell her what she should do with the rest of her life, because she thought, as far as she was concerned, she was not progressing fast enough with her voice and with her music and her piano, and she was wanting to quit. And she saw my acknowledgement as a sign, if you will. So that's the first part of the story. What she did, she phoned my friend, the voice coach, back, and she renewed her lessons for another year, and she studied really, really hard. Now, unbeknownst to me, as an East Indian, they have lots of celebrations, and she started performing at the celebrations, weddings and whatever, what have you, with their culture. And one of her uncles saw the talent in her and the magic she had on the keyboard, and he sent her to India, where she studied under one of Ravi Shankar's, one of the finest sitar players in the world. One of his students taught her for almost a year before she came back to Canada. So it was about 3 years after I met her very briefly on the bus. And my voice coach friend, teacher, phoned me and said, are you busy? And I said, sure, let's go. And we met for lunch. And she took me to an East Indian temple. And she said, and I didn't know what we were doing there. And she said, I have a surprise for you. And just before we went into the temple, all the men sit on one side and all the women sit on the other. She said, I want you to meet somebody. Do you remember this person? And I turned around, and this ravishing, beautiful goddess of a woman with this beautiful sequin gown was standing before me. Her hair was all done up. And I said, no, I don't think we've ever met. I certainly would have remembered you. And she said to me, I'm the woman that got on your bus, and I was ready to quit my piano lessons, and you encouraged me, and I still have your card, and I still remember your words. And she said, this is my concert, and I asked you to come, Theda, to come and bring you to my performance. Oh.
Wow.
So
you never know when you are
You never know.
somebody's angel.
What's incredible about this story, just to finish it off, is that people during the course of the concert were going up on stage and throwing money on the stage as she was playing. And I only had, I think I had $40 on me, and I went out and put it all on the stage. I was so moved. And at the end of the concert, she said, I want you to know that all the money that's brought into this concert today is going to go to the University of British Columbia to start a bursary for East Indian women to study music.
Wow.
Now, my ego, this is a very, very important piece of the puzzle. My ego could have done backflips and go, wow, look what I was able to do to this woman's life. But in all seriousness, the joy of it really comes from just me being one of the spokes in the wheel. I was not the uncle that sent her to India and helped her get the sitar lessons. And I was not the teacher like my friend Theda, who was the coach and the voice coach and the piano player teacher. I was not those people, but all of us contributed to this woman performing as she still does today. And as a matter of fact, 5 years later, the bursary is still in place at the University of British Columbia. So I'm just, you never know. You never know how you touch somebody's life. And it's so, so simple. To say, wow, it was nice to meet you. It was good to see you. What a nice firm handshake you have. Or what a great smile. And even if you're not, you don't have to be boisterous and gregarious and crazy as I am. Just start out small and start with your family. You know, acknowledge them for the little things that they do around the house. It's really, really hard to get kids to do dishes. But whenever they do...
Tell me about that. We have a schedule, and my son keeps trying to get out of the schedule.
I know you're a mother. But, you know, even when your kids do something simple, it's so amazing. I have a good friend of mine. I have to recommend her. Her site is called The Bent Lily, B-E-N-T Lily. And she's a poet. And she's been writing about her young boy. And one of the stories, he woke her up at 3 o'clock one morning and he said, "Mommy, mommy, mommy, if the letters if the letter 0 died, would the other letters be sad?" Just a beautiful little insight that made him think of, you know, just the things that come out of children's mouths are just absolutely incredible. And if we can just maintain that childlike joy of life, it's just such a gift to other people. It really is. Learn to play and have fun every day.
Yeah. And I love being a host of this show because I get to co-create, to play with people like you.
You're a wonderful host, and it brings the joy out in me for sure. I really appreciate that.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I do enjoy talking to people. Just finding out about what people are about. I think that is, one of the things I think we're here on this earth for is for the joy of connection.
Yes, connection is so important. You're absolutely right. You really hit the nail on the head. It's really, I've never heard anybody really disagree with wanting connection. Sometimes people want to be alone, and they're more, and I don't think that necessarily means being lonely, but yes, you're absolutely right. I do think that we're here to create connection, and nothing creates connection from where I sit with my experience quicker than the art of acknowledgement, or sharing a smile, or telling somebody, something nice that you saw about them.
Yeah, I think
it really does make people's hearts beat a little stronger, I think.
Yeah. And you never know, like, the power of a smile, or just somebody saying, have a good day, and like really mean it.
Yes, really mean it. And here's another tip too. When you ask somebody what their day is like, listen for the answer.
Yeah.
Just stop and give them a chance to tell you how their day is going. And then you can either sympathize or empathize, or maybe suggest something, or it might be something that's really wonderful happening in their life, and you can share a smile and a laughter around.
Yeah, I know. Like, how was your day? It's not a rhetorical question, right? You're actually wanting to know
Exactly.
how your day really.
And lots of times I would ask people, "How are you doing?" And they go, "Oh, fine." And I go, "Fine? You're not sneaking up on an excellent?" It just gives them another option.
Yeah. So, okay, I think we're coming up on time. So I like to ask you about your book. Actually, can you show it one more time and tell us
Sure.
what's in there? Yeah.
Okay. And then I have a question for you. And I want you to think about it and answer it on air if you can. And that is, Ming, what have you not been acknowledged for today?
Hey, that's the same question I asked. Okay. All right.
This is the holiday edition of Bus Tales.
Mm-hmm.
And it's on Amazon. It's How to Change the World from 9 to 5.
How to change the world from 9 to 5. Okay.
Or as a bus driver from 7 to 10 and back for the evening rush hour.
Yeah, different types, but yeah.
But this is the website, Can you see that okay on there?
Yeah, www.tommytransit.com. It's
Yep,
it.
just really, really
Yeah.
simple. And
Mm-hmm.
it's a fun website. And the steps of the art of acknowledgement are on there. And there's some fun
Mm-hmm.
stories and some great little videos. And I've got a wonderful little summer job that's a lot of fun, and you can find all about that on there as well.
Mm-hmm.
So, what is it, teaming, that you haven't been acknowledged for yet today?
Ah, today, well, my
Yeah,
kids are not really
your kids are what?
not up yet, so
They're
I
not
don't
up yet.
know what. Yeah, it's the holidays, you know. They sleep late,
Okay,
they
so
wake up late. Mm,
yeah,
I
so
guess.
teaming, I
Uh,
want to acknowledge you
uh-huh,
on the verge of Thanksgiving for
uh-huh.
being an amazing mother. And I'm not just saying that because it sounds good. I'm saying it because I see you having this wonderful program, putting a lot of time and energy and effort into it, and it being very successful, and raising your children as well. Not to mention, you probably have a lot of other things in your day, and you do them all successfully and with a sweet, warm smile. It's a gift. You're a gift. Thank you.
Well, thank you. I received that. I received that. So thank you. Thank you. Yeah.
You're a gift to all your listeners, and I look forward to listening to other parts of your program and other interviews that you've done now that we've met. And I just wonder, can you tell our listeners how they can do that? How can they access that through your website?
Yeah, I have two websites. So actually the main website right now is www.mefirstaid.com. So mefirstaid.com. It stands for
ME
mental and
first.
emotional first aid.
I
And
love it.
yeah, yeah. So because
Okay.
it's like a play on words. So mental and emotional, but also
Mental and
me because
emotional
it
first
starts
aid
with
is brilliant.
me, right? Like you want
That's
to make the
brilliant.
change yourself. Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, thank
ME
you.
first aid. I love it.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
wonderful.
Yeah. Because I believe that everyone has free will and
Yes.
autonomy. So the power to make decisions for themselves on how to really create their own splendid life. So that's why my show is called the Splendid Life Show. So I really believe that people
Excellent.
can create consciously what they want in their lives. So that my mission is to help people lift them up so that they can see that there's a lot more possibilities than they ever thought there could be, and then to choose something.
Absolutely.
Yep.
You know, every day is magic for me. And
Uh-huh.
the more I look for it, the more it shows up. I don't ever expect it, but it never lets
Mhm.
me down. And today it has been a
Yeah.
magical hour spending some time with you. So thank you for that.
Oh, I loved every minute of it. So thank you very much, Tommy.
You're very welcome.
Appreciate
And thank you
that.
to all the listeners as well. Hopefully, you can take those little tips and tools of the hour of acknowledgement and change your day right away in a very, very positive and loving way. Thank you, Team
Yeah.
Ming.
Oh, welcome. So again, Tommy's website is www.tommytransit.com. Go over, hop on over, explore, discover, and just there you go. He has his t-shirt there. Visual. All right. So it's up to the hour now. So I'm gonna sign off. And so thank you very much again for watching. I'd like to thank Tommy for his time and his
Thank you, Team Ming.
generosity.
To
Yeah.
you, Team
Okay.
Ming, and
So
to all your listeners, have an incredible day because you deserve no less.
yeah. All right. So happy Thanksgiving for those people who are in
Happy
the
Thanksgiving,
United States.
everyone. Bye now.
All right. Okay. Bye.